It's 4:30 in the morning. The door creaks open quietly. Zaria tiptoes in, hair a mess, heels in her hand. Her mother is waiting in the living room, wrapped in a robe, clutching a cup of cold coffee.
Zaria, are you okay, sweetheart?
Relax, Mom. The party was awesome.
What matters is that you got home safe, my precious girl.
The next night, 11:15 p.m. The door opens again. Naima, the older sister, rushes in, slightly out of breath, glancing at her watch. Her mother stands tall, arms crossed, face like stone.
What time do you think this is to be getting home?
Mom, I was only 15 minutes late.
15 minutes. My foot. Oh, please. What's next? You got abducted by unicorns. You're grounded. No more going out, no friends, no phone. From now on, you stay right here where I can keep an eye on you.
Why are you treating me like this?
You're just like a crooked tree. It never grows straight.
Now Zaria, the daughter who came home at 4 a.m. the night before, walks out of her bedroom.
Hi, Mommy.
How are you, my pretty little girl?
When a mother punishes one daughter harshly but lets the other do whatever she wants with no consequences, it creates a deep injustice for the one who's treated unfairly. But that is a family issue. When an organization with millions of members around the world, like Jehovah's Witnesses, is strict with one country and lenient with another, the consequences can be devastating. Because at that point, we're no longer talking about discipline. Human lives are at stake. Stay until the end, because today you'll find out how the Watchtower played with the lives of thousands of people. And honestly, you won't believe the level of cynicism involved. This is With Common Sense. (1964), Malawi, Africa. Dictator Kamuzu Banda ruled the country through the Malawi Congress Party. How many political parties were there? Just one. Every citizen in Malawi was expected to buy a card for the ruling party. And you know how dictators get when someone doesn't fall in line. Jehovah's Witnesses in Malawi asked their local branch for direction. The branch consulted the headquarters, which at that time was located in Brooklyn, New York. The answer was clear. Buying that party card would be a violation of Christian neutrality and ultimately an act of disloyalty to God. The vast majority of Jehovah's Witnesses in Malawi stuck firmly to that position, even at great personal cost. Successive waves of violent attacks against the Jehovah's Witnesses in Malawi swept across the country. In 1964, 1967, 1972, and again in 1975, fueled by the brutality of savage mobs. According to the witnesses' own reports, in the very first wave alone, 1,081 families had their homes burned or demolished, and 588 cultivated fields were destroyed. In the 1967 attacks, they reported that over 1,000 of their women were raped. 4 years earlier. 1960, Mexico. The branch office there consulted with headquarters in Brooklyn because many witnesses had been obtaining their military service cards through bribery. So what is the military service card? In Mexico, according to the National Military Service Law and its regulations, every male citizen who turns 18 must complete 1 year of military service. After that, they're issued a certificate known as the National Military Service Card. Besides being proof of completed service, it automatically enlists the person in the Army Reserves and assigns them a registration number. Not having that document meant you couldn't get a Mexican passport. It was also required by many schools and employers, especially in the public sector. So the Mexico branch reached out to World Headquarters for guidance. And of course, World Headquarters immediately told them that joining the Army was a clear violation of Christian neutrality. They reminded the brothers that true Christians have beaten their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. And doing it through bribery? Even worse, That wouldn't just be a caving in to the wild beast. It would be a dishonest act, unworthy of a Christian. We have invited a former elder of Jehovah's Witnesses in Mexico to give us his testimony about it. He prefers to remain anonymous. We'll call him Isaac, and we've created another AI avatar to represent him.
Hello, Nowachi, and hello to your audience. I suppose your last comment about the Watchtower Society condemning bribery and enlisting was sarcastic.
No, why do you ask? I've never done it, and I never will again.
Well, let's just say the actual response from World Headquarters was a little more flexible than that. Let me read you just the last part of the letter. If the conscience of certain brothers allows them to enter into such transactions for the sake of safeguarding their freedom, we have no objection. Naturally, if it were to cause them any kind of difficulty, it would be their responsibility to bear it, without us being able to provide any assistance. But if this practice is commonplace and tolerated by the inspectors without investigation, then the matter can be overlooked, and the resulting benefits can be reaped.
You mean World Headquarters actually responded by allowing witnesses to enlist in the military, be listed as Army Reserves, and, on top of that, get the card through bribery?
You heard that right? Later, around the mid-1980s, the Society still allowed the document to be obtained, but prohibited obtaining it through bribery. So basically they continued to permit a violation of Christian neutrality, but silently acknowledged that using bribery was, let's say, going a bit too far.
Tell us about your personal case. How did you obtain your military service card?
My family became Jehovah's Witnesses in the early 1980s. I was baptized in 1985 at the age of 15. So by the time I turned 18, the Society had already banned getting it through bribery.
So how did you get the military card then?
Through the black ball.
And what is that?
Getting the black ball meant you were exempt from doing military exercises. There were two ways to get it. One way was to enlist during the first few weeks after the annual call-up, which almost guaranteed you'd get a black ball. The other way was to wait for the official lottery and hope you got a black one by chance. I got mine by signing up during the first week after the call-up was announced. Still, even though I didn't have to do the exercises, my conscience wasn't clear.
But if you didn't actually perform military training, why did it still bother your conscience?
Because the National Military Service Law clearly states that by registering, you're presenting yourself to enlist in the armed forces. From the moment you register until you receive your card, you're considered part of the active military contingent. And once you receive it, you're officially enlisted in the Army's First Reserve.
And what did you do with all that guilt on your conscience?
I chose not to think about it. After all, everyone got the card. Even many who had used bribes were already elders, circuit overseers, even Bethelites.
Well, friends, in summary, while in Malawi, Jehovah's Witnesses were being beaten and tortured, women were being raped, their homes and crops destroyed, and entire families fled to other countries, all to uphold the Watchtower Society's position that buying a political party card was a betrayal of God. At the same time, Jehovah's Witnesses in Mexico continued to pay bribes to military officials to obtain a certificate, falsely claiming they had fulfilled their military obligations. Both countries received their instructions from the same source, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. Why would the governing body do something like this? Some believe it's simply about money. Mexico has always been one of the countries with the highest number of Jehovah's Witnesses, and that means donations. Isaac, what's your take on this?
Personally, I prefer to be just a little more generous with the governing body. I think the reason behind such a blatant inconsistency is that it's one thing to have a massive problem in your own neighborhood, with your southern neighbors, whom you visit several times a year, and maybe even take a few vacation days in Acapulco while you're at it. It's a whole different thing to have that same problem on the other side of the world, with people you never see. To put it simply, out of sight, out of mind.
Thank you very much, Isaac, for your testimony. Beyond any speculation about the governing body's motives, the reality is this. The governing body clearly doesn't care about people's lives. And honestly, I believe most Jehovah's Witnesses are good, well-intentioned people. But when it comes to the governing body, I have no doubt they have blood on their hands. Today, these same men prohibit blood transfusions. Would you let one of your children die for following the Bible interpretation of a group of irresponsible, soulless hypocrites who call themselves the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses? As always, the decision is in your hands. Here are my documentary sources. Subscribe and share this material with someone who might find it useful. And if you'd like to compare the Jesus of the Gospels with the current beliefs and practices of Jehovah's Witnesses, click the link on the left. See you before the governing body adapts another so-called truth to suit their convenience.